Hi, I'm Scott Davis. Welcome to New World Birth. By accessing this presentation, you're inviting me to share this information regarding our passage through this challenging and very hopeful time. This is the care and feeding of a New World Age report for the Gregorian date of May 24th, 2012, which is also one offering in the Mayan Tzolkin calendar. We're also going to discuss Mercury moving into Gemini, the Sagittarius, a full moon, lunar eclipse, Neptune turning retrograde, and the Venus transit that comes up at the very end of this report period. May 24th is one offering, which carries the themes of water and rain collected in water pots, vessels of gratitude for life, clouds heavy with rain, the sacred jade stones used in rituals and burials, offerings made in ceremony, baptisms and purification, deep undercurrents of emotion, restoring equilibrium, appreciation for chaos, for creation, releasing negative patterns, energies, and emotions, and accepting change. The day glyph for offering depicts a fish who represents the Mayan water deity. The energy for this 13-day period is about the gratitude for life and cleansing the past for transformation in the present. Astrologically, the one offering Trecena begins with Venus, Saturn, Pluto. They're all appearing to move in reverse motion from our perspective on Earth. Neptune is in Pisces and it's slowing to a stop as it prepares to turn retrograde on June 4th. And when a planet is slowing down to come to a stop and change direction, it's said to be at the peak of its power. So Neptune is in the peak of its power during in its own sign of Pisces during this report period, and it seeks transcendence through spiritual experiences. This will be a time to use spiritual practices to keep us grounded as we expand our intuition and consciousness. This will be an important energy to nurture as we move closer and closer to the first challenging Uranus-Pluto square, which is going to be exact on June 24th, but is already affecting us as a collective and also as individuals in our personal lives. The next 4 years are going to shake the very foundation through unexpected rebellions of the individual, which is Uranus and Aries, challenging the decaying power structures, which is Pluto in Capricorn. Obviously, this will be a difficult time of upheaval, destruction, death, unexpected change, natural disasters, violence, and war. So finding our own peace and our connection to spirit will be an important quality to cultivate now for the tumultuous road ahead. Make time to inflate your life raft by feeding your soul now so that it's a familiar experience when the rest of the world is changing. May 24th is one offering, which is unity experience through appreciating creation as Mercury moves into its own sign of Gemini, which brings motivation over the next few weeks to move forward with something that's been on our minds, and it also increases the speeds of communication. And on the 24th, we have the Cancer moon being opposed by Pluto and stimulated by Mars, so the day starts out with a sort of hurry up and wait energy, followed by having staying power to keep the pace moving towards success. The 25th is Two Dog, which is about duality being experienced through enjoying friends and family as Mercury is challenged by Neptune, which can cause confusion in our communications, with the moon being challenged by Saturn and harmonizing with Jupiter, which may have the day that sort of starts off feeling pessimistic, but later shifts to an enthusiasm to move in new directions. May 26th is Three Monkey, which is about taking action through creating something new, with the Leo moon is stimulated by Mercury and the Sun and supported by Uranus, which brings positive energy for clear communications, opportunities to move forward on a project that has begun, and innovative ideas add creativity to the process. The 27th is Four Road, which is about stability through community service. As Mercury merges with the Sun and is stimulated by Uranus, which brings a wonderful mental energy to express yourself with creativity and innovation from a clear perspective. While the moon is in Leo, it is in harmony with Venus and Saturn, and challenged by Jupiter, brings a day for socializing, working on something practical, but being cautious with money. May 28th is 5 Read, which is about empowerment through maintaining the home, as the sun is stimulated by Uranus, which can disrupt our daily routines. And Mercury is being challenged by Chiron, which can bring a healing or wounding quality to our communications, with the first quarter moon being opposed by Neptune, challenged by the Sun and Mercury, and supported by Pluto, bringing shifting emotions as the day starts with a sensitivity that may not be accurate, and then brings tension to the surface as it intensifies our feelings, and finally people are may be critical in their communications. The 29th is 6 Jaguar, which is about being in the flow through enjoying nature, with the Virgo moon merging with Mars and challenged by Venus, which starts with irritable feelings but resolves to more pleasant experiences. May 30th is 7 Eagle, reflection through seeing from a higher perspective, as the sun challenges Chiron, which illuminates our wounds so they can be healed. And Mercury is challenged by Mars, which can bring a touchy quality to our communications and an attitude in our interactions. While the moon is supported by Jupiter and the sun and opposed by Uranus and challenged by Pluto, shifting emotional energies from a pleasant sense of well-being to an impulse to leaping to conclusions that may not be correct, to feeling the compulsion to act, and finally just relaxing to a sense of being in harmony with yourself. Thank God. Anyway, on the 31st, it's 8 Wisdom, which is balanced through reflection, meditation, and forgiveness, with the Libra moon finding support from Mercury and Venus and merged with Saturn. It's a day of being in touch with our feelings and enjoying being with friends, yet also feeling isolated and lonely as the day moves on. June 1st is 9 Earth, which is patience through the gratitude for Mother Earth, and Mercury merges with Venus, bringing a deeper appreciation for beauty, art, music, poetry, and communicating about and with those we love. And it's interesting because this Mercury-Venus conjunction occurs on the exact degree of the 2004 Venus transit. And on that day, we also have the Scorpio moon is supported by Neptune and in harmony with Pluto, which brings forth our innermost fantasies and arouses deep feelings. The second is 10 Flint, which is about manifestation through being introspective. The moon in Scorpio is stimulated by Mars, which brings energy to work independently and take initiative. And then June 3rd is 11 Storm, which is resolution through recognizing the gifts in adversity, as Mercury is supported by Saturn, which brings serious thoughts to work on practical concerns, while the moon is also opposed by Jupiter, challenged by Neptune, and supported by Uranus, which has us feeling generous and drifting in and out of daydreams and then craving some emotional excitement. The fourth is 12 Sun, which is stability through honoring the wisdom and memory of our ancestors, with Neptune turning retrograde on that day. So that it'd be a great day to make some time for your spiritual practice. And Venus is challenged by Mars, bringing increased interest in the opposite sex, with the Sagittarius new moon lunar eclipse opposed by the Sun and Venus, and challenged by Mars and stimulated by Saturn. Between the new moon solar eclipse a couple of weeks ago, or actually earlier this week, and this full moon lunar eclipse, we have been introduced to new people, situations, and activities that seem very familiar, almost like deja vu, that lead our lives towards a new purpose. Emotionally, this full moon is very active and energized, and but also some will be irritable and looking for a fight. There can also be the desire to overindulge in food and drink. And while there may be others who really feel like just being alone in their thoughts and feelings. And then we get to June 5th, which is 13 Crocodile, which is about movement to the next stage through nurturing new beginnings, which I can't pick a better description of the Venus transiting across the face of the sun from the view from the east of the international dateline, empowering the feminine and bringing forward the events of the previous Venus transit in 2004. On the 5th, the moon is opposed by Mercury in harmony with Neptune, challenged by Uranus, and merging with Pluto, so the day shifts from being with a conflict, shifts from beginning with a conflict between feelings and reason, to being very sensitive to other people's moods, to feeling rebellious, and finally bringing intense emotional experiences and deep-seated emotions will rise to the surface. This is going to be an amazing energy to complete one cycle and begin another, as we're going to move into the one wind trisena on June 6th, and the Venus transit will be viewed west of the international dateline from that perspective. And I did put up a map of the world and its viewing locations on the New World Birth Facebook page, so go check that out. Anyway, this being the One Offering 13-day period with the Venus transit occurring on the final day of the Trisena in 13 Crocodile in the Americas, I thought I'd discuss this Venus transit and history. Venus transits have been observed in pairs that occur 8 years apart, and they occur every 121 years approximately, give or take. But they appear in the signs of Gemini or Sagittarius and during Venus's retrograde cycle. Gemini is about communication and commerce, and Sagittarius is about exploring new places and beliefs. The previous transit of this pair was on June 8th of 2004 and occurred at 17 Gemini. Venus takes 584 days to orbit around the sun, or 1.61 Earth years of 365 days, which gives us this ratio of 5 Venus years equaling 8 Earth years, which is the golden mean, or phi, in sacred geometry. And the pattern of these cycles around the sun forms a pentagram as they line up during these periods of 121 years in their pairs. And which is probably why Venus is associated with the five-pointed star throughout different traditions. The Mayan astrologers placed a great deal of emphasis on Venus, which is evident in the Tzolkin count of days, as the star day sign refers to Venus. They're credited with calculating the number of days between pairs of transits. The first transit of the current pair was on June 8, 2004, and on June 5th, 2012, east of the international dateline, and June 6th, west of the dateline, we will experience the second transit of this century. This occultation, meaning that Venus will be seen as it moves across the face of the sun. It's going to appear like a small shadow disk as it passes across the face of the sun. And this will not occur again until 2117. And it's interesting that the long count, which completes on the winter solstice of this year, began in August of 3114 before the Common Era, BCE, in a time referred to as the birth of Venus. The previous Venus transit pair was 1874 and 1882, which coincided with a shift in global consciousness through communication with the founding of the World Postal Unit on October 9th, 1874, and the completion of the transatlantic telegraph cable on August 5th, 1858. And Alexander Graham Bell began thinking about the telephone in 1874 and then did patent it in 1876. This is a time period began the expansion of communication with newspapers, telephone, telegraph, and eventually radio. Venus is traditionally associated with the feminine, and during this time period, we see the rise in women's suffrage, which led to voting rights in New Zealand, the United States, and Australia. The prior pair of Venus transits were in 1761 and 1769, and that was a time of increased exploration around the globe, and scientists from the world set up 77 different locations to observe, document, and share information about that Venus transit in an international cooperative effort to calculate the distance from the sun from many different vantage points around the Earth. And this was the first time that information was shared globally on this scale by any group, scientific or otherwise. And Venus is about relationships, and Gemini is about information. So this is about relationships and sharing information. The time period, this time period was also the origin of the American Revolution. Prior to that, the pair of transits were in 1631 and 1639 and were associated with regular mail services in Europe and the rise of rationalist science. In 1639 was the year of the first printing press was set up in America in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Before that, the transits were in 1518 and 1526, where there was a time period when Ferdinand Magellan's expedition circumnavigated the Earth from 1519 to 1522, so occurring right between those two transits, which that Magellan's exploration circumnavigating the Earth had a tremendous impact in showing that the world was a globe and not flat. The Protestant Reformation was said to be sparked by Martin Luther's posting the 95 Theses in 1517, again, right in that time period. This is also a time of female rulers in Europe with Mary I, Elizabeth I, Mary Queen of Scots, and Catherine de' Medici reigning during the time of the Venus transit and the time period that immediately followed it. An interesting pattern begins to emerge as we look at all this data. The Venus transit seems to herald a time that shifts consciousness through exploration and services that leads to a more integrated worldview. It's also a time of revolution against oppressive powers and the empowerment of the feminine. So no matter whether you experience a shift in consciousness during this One Offering Tzolkin, please take some time out to be in the flow of the planet by being in nature, watching a sunrise or sunset, communing with the stars, being conscious of the moment through introspection, meditation, or being with somebody you love. Every day is a blessing, no matter what dramas beckon to distract us. So we're all here giving the performance of a lifetime, no matter on this world stage. So just take time out to observe the play as well as act your part. And remember that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. Anyway, I want to thank you for checking out New World Birth. The next segment of Care and Feeding of a New World Age will be on June 6th for One Win. We'll also be discussing Mercury moving into Cancer, Jupiter moving into Gemini, and the mutation of humans from having 7 chakras to becoming 9-centered beings. You can check us out on Facebook and YouTube and the Mayan Magics website. I invite you to email me at newworldbirth@yahoo.com if you have any questions or wish to schedule a reading. I am providing readings and wish to make this service available to the greatest amount of folks. So I've created 3 options to give you 3 levels of compensation for $50. I'll provide a reading where you'll get to look at your human design chart to help you understand how to use your own individual strategy and authority in making the life decisions that are best for your unique design. At the $65 level, I'll include 3 months of astrological transits as they relate to your natal and progressed astrology chart, along with the human design reading. And then at the $100 level, the human design and astrological transit reading will be recorded and sent to you as an MP3 file that you can download to your computer. So, hey, if you're thinking about getting a reading, please contact me. I'd love to provide you a reading during these uncertain times. You'll need to either be able to call me in Maine in the United States or connect with Skype to receive your reading. As always, I am deeply, deeply blessed that you've taken this time out to connect with my passion for these ancient mysteries and their application to our journey during this incarnation. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste and Lakesh.